Hey guys, and welcome back to the Critter Crochet YouTube channel. Today I will be showing you how to embroider an Amigurumi face onto your Amigurumi projects. This is what the finished product will kind of look like. You will be using thread or yarn to create the eyes, and I'll also show you how to do a basic nose. You can use this technique on your projects instead of using just safety eyes. I find some projects I prefer safety eyes and some projects I prefer embroidering. So I'm going to get started. So what you will need to do this is your project that you'll be using for this demonstration. I'm just going to be using this sphere that I just crocheted. You will need some sewing pins for helping you place the eyes. You will need yarn or thread. I'm using black for the eyes, and then I'll use the pink for the nose. You will need scissors. And then I'm going to be using a 5-inch yarn needle, but you can just use a classic regular sized yarn needle. So to get started, we're going to figure out where we want to place our face on our project, and then we're going to take some pins, and I'm going to place my eyes around the middle, or I'm actually going to go up a row. So when you use the pins to place the eyes, I prefer using 2 because this will mark the beginning and the end of the eye. I usually prefer to leave 1 stitch between the 2 pins. And then you leave however much space you want between the eyes. This is all about preferences and how you want your finished product to look like. I'm going to leave about this many. I have about 4 stitches left between the eyes. And so, oops, I'm going to then skip a stitch and then place the other pin there. So this is where an eye will go, and this is where an eye will go. Then you're going to take the color you will be using, and you're going to thread it through your yarning needle. I usually like to just tie the yarn on there to keep it secure. And then you're going to take your project, and I usually insert the needle from behind, and then you're going to poke it through the stitch where this first pin is. So once you have it stuck through, you can remove the pin, and then you're going to pull the yarn needle through. I'm going to pull it through as much as I can, making sure I leave some yarn behind. And then what you're going to do next is you're going to enter the stitch with the second pin with the needle facing up, and you're going to enter the stitch that is diagonally up from the second pin. And as you do that, you're going to take the yarn that you pulled through, and you're going to wrap it around the needle. So once you have the yarn needle, you're done with it, pull it out, and then you're going to pull your yarn all the way through. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to go back through the stitch. And what I like to do is, after I'm done with this part, I like to continue to the next eye. So we would enter this stitch right here where this first pin is, and then we would just pull the yarn all the way through. Now this created kind of a triangle look to the eye. You can mess with the yarn, make it looser, tighter. I pulled the stitch a little too tight, but it is what it is. So I'm going to remove this pin now, and I'm going to enter the needle through the stitch that the second pin is in, and I'm going to poke it through the diagonal stitch right above the in-between stitch that is the row above. And as I do that, I'm going to wrap the yarn around the needle. I can pull this pin out, and then you're just going to, oops, it came off you're just going to pull it through. I have to rethread my yarn. And then to finish the eye, you just insert your needle back into the stitch that you just pulled out of, and then you pull it through. And then you mess with the yarn to get it the way you want, and yeah. If you want to add eyelashes, eyelashes are optional. As you see, I pulled the yarn out of the head about a stitch away. So all you're going to do is you're just going to go into this stitch, the one where the second pin was, and then you're going to have it exit diagonally out the stitch above, and then pull your yarn through. This creates the bottom eyelash, and then all you do is you go back into the first stitch again. And then that's how you do the eyelashes. So to fasten off and get rid of all the black yarn, all you're going to do is you're going to take your scissors, pull this yarn tight but not too tight to distort the work you did, and you're going to cut. Do the same with the other, and then just take your needle or your hook that you used and just kind of hide the coloring back into the piece. So that's how you do the eyes. We're going to move on, and I'm going to show you how to do a very basic nose. So you're going to take your color of thread or yarn, whichever you choose to use. I'm using pink for the nose. So again, you're going to use pins to decide where you want to place the nose. I think I'm just going to place it directly between the eyes. You're going to take your hook, or your needle, sorry, and you're going to, again, I like to enter through the back of the head. It doesn't really matter which pin of the nose you go through first, nor does the eyes. You can mess around with it and experiment with what is easiest and best for you. So now that I'm through the stitch that had the pin, I'm going to take the pin out, and then I'm going to push the needle through and pull my yarn through, again making sure I leave a tail. And then what you're going to do is you're going to enter the stitch that the second pin is in, and you're just going to come back out the same stitch that you just entered. So you're kind of just looping the yarn around these few stitches. And you're just going to repeat this a few times. So we're again going to enter this second stitch back into the first. My yarn came off of my needle again. I'm going to do it one more time. And you can do it as many or as little times as you want to get the nose as even as you want it. And then what you're going to do now is you're going to kind of pick up the yarn and see where this middle stitch is. because this is where you will be exiting your needle out of to then make the line down. So we're going to enter the second stitch one more time, and we're going to identify that middle stitch between the nose, and we're going to make sure our yarn is on the side of the needle, and we're going to pull it through. The yarn again fell off of my needle, so let's reattach that. And then what you're going to do from here is you're just going to go down as many rows as you want. You can take the yarn and kind of see where you want it to end. I think placement here looks pretty good. So I'm just going to enter the needle into the stitch that I want it to go through, and I'm just going to pull the yarn all the way through. The nose will sometimes look a little off-center depending on where you place your stitch. The stitch that I had between in the middle of the nose wasn't exactly centered, so that's why this is a little uneven right here, but it's not too big of a deal. And then it's the same way that you fasten off with the yarn. So you just pull it a little tight, but not too tight to distort your work. You cut, same with this one, and then you take your needle or your hook and you just kind of press in and hide that coloring there. And then there you go. After you do this, you add the ears and the body and everything else, and yeah. I encourage you to experiment with how far apart the stitches are, how big or how small you want the eyes or the nose. You know, it's all about preferences. This is just how to do it basically. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and found it helpful. If you have any comments or questions about this process, please let me know. Please let me know down in the comments below. I will be happy to answer any of your questions or anything like that. And yeah, I will have the written steps down below in the description, because I know some people learn better that way. I will also have the blog post that I did about this linked below. And yeah, be sure to check out my blog. It's crittercrochet.com. I have a lot of free patterns there. I just put up a shop, which is actually, this is the latest paid pattern that I have available. It's a beautiful little bear lovey, really cute. And yeah, a lot of beginner friendly posts, especially for some techniques, and just a lot of cool stuff, so go check it out. I also have my socials linked below, like my Instagram, Pinterest, and my Etsy shop. And I hope you guys found this video helpful. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, week, month, whatever. And happy crafting!